welcome back to my channel, FunsizedStyle. My name is Michaela, and thanks for stopping by. It feels so weird talking to the camera. It feels so weird talking to you guys and filming, and like, when I was getting ready for this video, I was like, this feels so weird and like almost out of my element because I have not uploaded in 2 weeks. Those of you that follow me on any other source of social media like Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, you know where I've been and you know what's been going on. But to those of you that do not follow me on any of those platforms, you wouldn't really know where I've been. And so I've really missed you guys, and I'm glad to be back filming again. It feels really good being able to do what I love the most. But this video is long overdue. Well, not long overdue. It just, what I'm about to talk about just occurred like 2 weeks ago. Tomorrow it'll be 2 weeks. Wow, that's wild. So 2 weeks ago tomorrow, when this is being filmed, today is Sunday, May 19th. And tomorrow, May 20th, I'm not sure when this is being uploaded, but May 20th, it'll be 2 weeks since I had surgery. If you watched my Where I've Been video, I talked about some health issues I was having, that I was going to be having this surgery, but it was canceled because I had gotten sick back in April, and my original surgery date was scheduled for April 8th. But again, that got canceled because I had gotten sick. And if you've never had surgery before, if you're not in 100% perfect health, unless it's an emergency surgery, they will not do surgery unless you are in perfect health, because if you put anesthesia in the mix when you're like a cold or like respiratory or anything like that, like a lot can go wrong. So if you're not 100% in perfect health, they will cancel the surgery, or like, you know, they won't do the surgery. So obviously I had gotten sick, and so the surgery had to be canceled. But when I filmed that Where I've Been video, because so much was going on in my life at that time, I had not been able to film or upload very much. I talked about me needing the surgery, but when I called to reschedule it, they were telling me that I couldn't get in until August 9th. I was like advocating and just making a ton of phone calls to like figure out how I could get the surgery done sooner, because like even my surgeon was like, you really shouldn't wait that long. Because if you don't know what I'm talking about, again, go see that video. I'll intro to it a little bit, but basically everything else will be in that video, because I don't want this video to be a repeat of that video. But basically she was like, you really shouldn't wait that long. And like her surgery scheduler was like, well, we're trying to find an open OR room in like a day, and trying to use all my resources to get an earlier date. And one afternoon I'd finally gotten a call, and she said, how does May 7th or May 6th sound? And I was like, that is perfect. That is when I had my surgery. I had my surgery on Monday, May 6th, and it's almost 2 weeks exactly tomorrow. So it was Monday, May 6th or 5th, or it was a Monday. And so I was like, that's perfect. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, I will again talk about a little bit, but go watch that video and then come back and watch this video, because it will make a lot more sense. But I've had years and years of ear infections. There's no cause as to why they keep happening, because even like ear tubes weren't working for me anymore, and I'd been to numerous otolaryngologists, and like nobody knew why I kept having these problems. And I was just having like constant pain and drainage for about 2 or 3 years, and like nobody would know. They'd just be like, all right, let's put a new tube in, and all these problems again are with my right ear. And long story short, again, if you want to hear the long version, go watch that video. I keep saying that, but seriously, go watch it. I finally found 2 otolaryngologists that were able to collaborate and help me. So the one that did the surgery was the one that I was referred to by the other little otolaryngologist partner. So like they work together, they're in the same department and stuff. But the reason that I didn't have like that otolaryngologist do it is because the kind of surgery that I needed, she hadn't done many of these surgeries, or the surgery that I thought I would need, or that we thought I would need. And so she wanted me to go to somebody more experienced with patients with osteogenesis imperfecta. The other otolaryngologist was very experienced in osteogenesis imperfecta, but not in this surgery that I needed, like I said. So she referred me to her partner. So between the two of them, they were able to collaborate and come up with a solution. And the result was I had a CT scan done a couple months ago, and the original surgery that I was supposed to have was like something eustachian tube balloon dilation system surgery, where they go in and widen my eardrum and put a new tube in, because it was discovered by the oto that referred me to a partner. Like I said, the two collaborated, so it was discovered by my otolaryngologist. So we'll say otolaryngologist A is like the original, and then that was like finally able to help me after, like finally knew the cause after numerous otolaryngologists. And otolaryngologist B is the one that did my surgery. We'll say person B and person A. So person B, she had me do a CT scan to make sure that my anatomy would allow for the eustachian tube dilation system surgery to be successful. The reason that that was the surgery that both A and B thought would be a good fit is because they discovered that my eustachian tube was too narrow, even with having osteogenesis imperfecta. And so they go in with this little balloon system, widen it, and then put a new tube in. Because that's why tubes weren't working, is because my eustachian tube was too narrow, and so even with the tubes, fluid wasn't able to drain in and out properly, causing old infection to get trapped behind my eardrum. And lingering infection can cause a lot of problems, which you'll find out in a minute. She wanted me to do the CT scan to make sure, and I did the scan, and it was very different than what we both anticipated. They found some abnormal tissue inside of my ear, and the original thought of what it looked like was a cholesteatoma, which is a non-cancerous skin cyst that forms in the middle ear from ongoing, lingering, unaddressed ear infection. Well, I shouldn't say unaddressed, because I had gone to numerous otolaryngologists before these two, and nobody could figure out the cause, and basically just told me that like this was my new normal because ear tubes weren't working. And so they couldn't figure out the underlying cause, and they didn't discover the eustachian tube dysfunction like these other two did. So a cholesteatoma, like I said, is a non-cancerous skin cyst that forms in the middle ear from constant infection and just many, many infections. And also eustachian tube dysfunction plays a part in having a cholesteatoma because, like I said, old infection gets trapped behind the eardrum, causing all these problems and this cyst to form. Now, even though it is not cancerous, it grows like a cancer tumor would, I guess. They don't consider it a tumor, they just refer to it as a skin cyst. But it grows like a cancer tumor would. Not as rapidly, but it grows, and it doesn't stop growing. And the reason, once it's discovered that you have a cholesteatoma, you pretty much have to get it removed. Obviously, doctors can't make you do anything, and you have your own free will to do whatever, but it will keep growing like a cancer tumor would, and it can cause meningitis, facial paralysis, permanent hearing loss, like deafness, all these other problems, and it would eventually kill you. So, obviously, when we discovered this tissue that looked like a cholesteatoma, we both agreed that I needed this surgery. That was our original thought. We're like, okay, so you have a narrow eardrum and a cholesteatoma. So they were just gonna remove it and widen my eustachian tube, and all of this is in my right ear. I have no problems with my left. After all that rescheduling nonsense that I talked about a minute ago, I had the surgery on May 6th, and when I got into the operating room and she started the surgery, it was much different than we anticipated. I actually did not have a cholesteatoma like it looked like on the scan. It was just a bunch of old tissue and old infection, old tissue that had formed from so much old infection trapped behind my eardrum. And there was no skin cyst, there was no mass, which was a huge blessing because even though a cholesteatoma is not cancerous, there is a chance that it could grow back, and they can keep growing back and growing back. I had joined this Facebook group, like a cholesteatoma support Facebook group, because I was looking on YouTube actually for people's experiences with a cholesteatoma because it's such a rare condition that not a lot of people have it. And I could not find any YouTube videos about people's personal experiences. Obviously, I found a lot of videos about like the medical side of it, but nobody's personal experience. So I had, like I said, found this Facebook group. I was reading people's stuff they'd post, and like some people have had like 5 to 7 surgeries of like this skin cyst keep growing and growing back. So to know that I didn't have that was a huge blessing, because again, even though it's not cancerous, to have that many surgeries and to have it keep growing back can cause a lot of damage, because even though the surgery really isn't, I mean, it is optional. Like, doctors can't make you do anything, but ideally it's not optional. So if you have to keep redoing it and doing it, it just brings you more risk for permanent deafness and all the other risks that would go along with the surgery. And so to know that I didn't have that mass was a huge blessing, because now I don't have to worry about it growing back, because there's nothing there that's growing. So that was a huge blessing. I want to talk about real quick about some of the risks that there is to this surgery. And even though I didn't have a cholesteatoma, these risks still applied to the surgery because of the kind of surgery that I had. But some of the risks to the surgery are facial paralysis, temporary or not, I don't know if permanent is one, but like longer term facial paralysis because of how they have to do the surgery, which I'll explain in a minute. It's like near one of your primary facial nerves. And at least at the hospital that I went to, they used a special monitor to make sure that my facial nerves were not damaged. And as you can tell by looking at me, they're not damaged, praise the Lord, which I'll get into like more in a minute. But so facial paralysis, inability to regain hearing depending on what they find, and like some people have like a metallic taste in their mouth after a while. Some people have it just for a few days. Some people have it for a few weeks. Some people have it for a few months, and I read on this Facebook group that some people have it permanently. And so it's obviously not as detrimental as like facial paralysis, but a metallic taste in your mouth forever would be pretty annoying. And also tinnitus, which is ringing in the ear, is a risk. So those were our main concerns were, oh, and dizziness was another big one. Some people get super dizzy after this kind of surgery. Usually that goes away after a few days if you experience that. But I just want to say, get into the outcome and what they found in a minute, but I just want to say how thankful I am. I did not have any of those risks, and the risks that she was telling me about, like, they're pretty common. The facial paralysis one isn't as common, but it's not super rare either. And that was one of my biggest fears. I don't know why. I mean, it's a big deal, but like, I don't know, when you hear the word paralysis, like, it's scary, and to know that like you literally don't have an option of the surgery. I did not incur any of the risks, or not dangers, that sounds bad, but like any of the potential effects from having the surgery. I had no facial paralysis. I still have no facial paralysis. I had no metallic taste in my mouth, no dizziness, no ringing in the ear. It could not have been a more perfect outcome as far as side effects go. Like, I did not have any side effects from the surgery, and I just came out with flying colors. It was, as far as effects go and how common these effects are and the things that can happen after the surgery, as common as they are, I was worried because like my anxiety gets the best of me, but in my mind, like, I knew that, you know, like, God's got this, and whatever happens is for a reason. And so I just gave it all to Him, and I still had fear and anxiety because I don't talk about my anxiety much, but even though I know, like, I have super strong faith in the Lord, my mind just tries to overpower that, and I just keep in the back of my mind that, like, God's got this, and He really does, because I, again, came out with flying colors, no effects whatsoever, and I just keep saying that, but, like, that was such a big risk. Some of these things were such a big risk because the surgery was not optional, obviously, because I want to, like, live a long time. Like, I had to have the surgery, so it was a risk I had to take and things that I had to be aware of that I could lose. And so it was just a huge blessing, and I'm so grateful to God for protecting me and just making everything go so perfectly in that way. So those are, like, some of the risks to the surgery. The surgery that I had is called a Tympanomastoidectomy, or also known as a tympanoplasty and mastoidectomy. Since I had both, the really long technical name of it is, like I said, tympanomastoidectomy. A mastoidectomy is where they go in, or tympanoplasty and mastoidectomy is where they go in and repair the eardrum and hearing bones and clear out any old infection or anything else that could be in there, like a cholesteatoma. Going on to now knowing that in that way I had a perfect outcome, I want to talk a little bit about what my surgeon found. So like I said, I did not have a cholesteatoma, praise the Lord. I did have a ton of old infection trapped behind my eardrum. I'm not going to show you my scar or anything like that because it's pretty nasty. You can't see it because of my hair, and she didn't have to shave hardly any hair, so you can't even really tell that I got some of my hair shaved. So that's really great. The reason that it's called a mastoidectomy is because it involves cutting into the mastoid bone, which is like in your skull, but it's not. It doesn't provide any near your skull. Like, I don't know if it's in or near your skull. She had to like make a cut in my skull. It doesn't provide any structure to your head or like anything. It's just a bone like in your ear. I don't know how all that works, but so that's why it's called a mastoidectomy. And then another thing that she found that we were all very shocked about was she found a very, 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 very old ear tube that had fallen like back way deep, like deep, because she had to cut into the mastoid bone. It's like pretty deep. She was shocked to find that, like, she found this bright blue object in my ear, and those are supposed to come out. And that tube that I got had been placed by one of the many otolaryngologists several years ago that I had seen. Like I said, I've seen many. So they were not the two that like actually found my problem. They weren't the ones that placed this ear tube. And looking back, I'm very frustrated that the previous otolaryngologist that I went and seen didn't look deeper into this problem when I kept having this problem. To even consider that the ear tube could be trapped like behind my eardrum, like in my skull. Like, that's pretty scary. And luckily, because of where the ear tube was, where it had fallen, it didn't cause the infections. I mean, I wouldn't have done anything otherwise, but that would have made me really upset to know that a previous surgeon's mistake would have caused all these problems, but that was not the case. So she found, like I said, old infection, tissue, all that nasty, ear tube, and my eustachian tube again was really narrow. So she went ahead and widened it. Widened my ear canal, widened my eustachian tube, something like that. So, and she cleaned out all that nasty stuff and did all that and removed the ancient ear tube from many, many years ago. And I'm talking many years ago. As grateful as I am for the amazing outcome, there was a bit of discovery that we were all pretty disappointed in, and something we didn't expect, because from the CT scan everything looked like it was intact. She said sometimes that does happen to where the CT scan doesn't show everything super clearly, and because the anatomy of my right ear is so crappy, like, she said it nicer than that, but like, since the anatomy of my ear is so crappy, it was really hard to see everything very intricately. But what was discovered once she cut me open, I guess, for lack of better words, and after cleaning all that stuff out, removing the million-year-old ear tube, it was discovered that because of all these years of on and off infections and eustachian tubes in and out, that my hearing bones were eaten away in my right ear. I think there's 3 hearing bones in your ear, and 1.5 of my hearing bones were eaten away. That really frustrated me to know that I had gone to all these otolaryngologists to basically have them tell me that, like, this was my new normal, like, that drainage from my ear and pain and decreased hearing loss was my new normal for an unknown reason. Without anyone even being aware, my hearing bones were being eaten away. Obviously, like, your hearing is one of your main senses, and to know that throughout the past few years, these 1.5 hearing bones were being eaten away like a little Pac-Man, I was really frustrated. I wasn't mad. I'm not mad at the 2 otolaryngologists that collaborated and finally found my problem, because they are the ones that made this happen. Like, by saying made this happen, I mean, like, knew that I wasn't crazy and found the problem that I was describing. I'm mad at the million other otolaryngologists that I went and saw, because nobody knows you better than yourself. And I always knew that this wasn't normal. Like, it's not normal to have constant pain in your ear. It's not normal to have all this nasty stuff draining from your ear. It's not normal to have decreased hearing loss just because. I knew that that wasn't normal, but I was told for so many years, after seeing so many different doctors, that this was indeed my new normal. And without anyone being aware, my hearing bones were being eaten away by like a little Pac-Man. That was really disappointing. I'll be honest, like, I'm grateful for the outcome. I still am, because it could have been a lot worse. I could have had the cholesteatoma, but it just makes me realize, like, I'm so glad that I decided to pursue with this issue again and didn't give up until I found somebody that could help me. You guys don't even know the amount of research that I've done to find the doctors that I did, and the two that collaborated. I'm so grateful to both of them because they helped me, because even though the issue is too far gone, like my hearing, but 1.5 of my hearing bones were eaten away, like all 3 of them could have been gone in like another year. So I'm really grateful that I decided to pursue with this issue again and knew something wasn't right. That's the greatest thing that I've learned from this, is I know myself better than anybody. That's something I'm really in tune with, like with my health. I know when something isn't right, and I know that like being a hypochondriac is like a real thing, but that's just not me. Like, I know when something's normal and what's not, so I'm not saying like go find something wrong with yourself. Like, that's not what I'm saying, but like if you're very in tune with yourself and you know yourself and you know your health well and you know something isn't right, don't be afraid to find somebody that can help. There's a lot of doctors out there, and I can guarantee you there's somebody out there that can help you. And like I said, I'm not saying go find something wrong with yourself. And like being a hypochondriac is like a real thing, so I hope this isn't like a trigger for anybody, but that's the greatest thing I can learn, is I knew all these years that something wasn't right, and after years of being told this was my new normal, again, for the millionth time, my hearing bones were eaten away. So the 2 hearing bones that I lost are, well, 1.5 hearing bones that I lost is my middle ear bone was completely eroded away. So she removed what very little was remaining, because it would have caused the other bones to get eaten away as well. And she also removed a portion of my stapes bone, I think it's called. Half of that was starting to be eaten away. So she removed 1.5 of my hearing bones. She even said before the surgery, like, if there's something wrong with your actual bones of your hearing, we can go, of your ear, actual bones of your ear, we can go in and replace them with artificial ones. And that can help you regain, hopefully help you regain some of your hearing, even if your actual hearing bones are not good. She tried so hard to rebuild them, but because of the anatomy of my ear, there was just no way of getting in there deep enough to be able to connect them where they needed to be connected. So not only were 1.5 of my hearing bones eaten away, but they also couldn't be replaced in my anatomy. And I think that's what hit me the most, is knowing that like there's no going back. Like, this is permanent. Like, the hearing loss that I have is permanent. My hearing has gotten a little bit worse, but it will pretty much hopefully continue to stay stable at this point. But I have really noticed a decrease in my hearing, a couple weeks especially, and it's frustrating. I won't kid you. And I got fitted for a hearing aid a couple months ago. Now, since she had to widen my ear canal, I have to get refitted for the hearing aid because the shape of my ear has changed since the surgery, and that can't happen until 3 months from now, when my ear is completely healed, like 110%, because the way they have to mold it, like it could cause it to get infected if it's just not completely healed. So I won't even get the hearing aid for at least another 4 or 5 months. I won't even get the hearing aid for like another 4 or 5 months or so, and that's really frustrating too. And as grateful as I am for how well everything went and how well I did, I always do great with anesthesia, and that all went great as well. There were some really disappointing outcomes, but like I said, I hope that my story can help one of you guys. I hope it can. Don't freak out about every little thing. Like, you know, even though my hearing bones some of them are gone, like, I'm grateful for hearing aid technology, because several years ago, a few decades ago, like, that wasn't even a possibility. It is going to be a bummer. It's going to be a hassle having to buy the batteries and put them in and get used to it, and it's another gizmo and gadget that I have to use. I really hope that it will make it easier for me and less frustrating to communicate. If you know something isn't going right, I urge you to not give up. I know there's people out there that really stress over their health, like hypochondriacism, I think is what it's called. Like, I hope that this isn't a trigger for that, because that's not what I'm saying, because I'm not that. I don't have that struggle. I just know myself really well, and I know when this is like, okay, this is normal, and this is not. I'm able to decipher the difference between the two of them, and some people are not. So again, I hope this isn't a trigger for that. But overall, like I said, I am disappointed in some of the outcome, but again, I'm also really grateful that there was no cholesteatoma and that this issue is manageable. And I still do have one fully functioning ear. My left ear has near perfect hearing, so that's really the main reason how I'm still able to communicate pretty effectively even without a hearing aid right now, because my hearing is so bad now in my right ear. My left ear is perfect hearing, so it's really compensating for that. So I'm grateful that I have that, and I'm grateful for my eyesight. Like, that's the most important sense to me. I'm just trying to hold on to the things that I'm grateful for and that I still have, and not focus on the things that I lost, because this is a manageable issue, and I'm proud of myself for not giving up and knowing that I was right all along. And I'm grateful for a team that didn't give up on me either and found my problems, because like I said, if I would have just believed those doctors, all my hearing bones would have gotten eaten away. That's just how it went for me. But going on to kind of how the recovery went. Oh, also, so another thing I want to talk about, sorry this is all over the place, but another thing I want to talk about is like how the actual surgery, so the actual surgery went well, and those were what she found. Like, that was everything that she found, and that wasn't able to be accomplished. Like I said, that we were hoping that my hearing bones were able to be rebuilt, but they were not. My surgeon did an excellent job. I absolutely love her, and she just did an amazing job. A mastoidectomy and tympanoplasty is very intricate and involves like flipping the ear around and like cutting into that bone, and so it's very intricate surgery, and she did an amazing job. And like I said, I came out really well overall. It was interesting because they sedated me, whatever, they put the anesthetic in my IV, and I was sedated. And then when I woke up, my surgeon was telling me how they had called my orthopedic surgeon into the OR, because now mind you, like, my orthopedic surgeon wasn't the one doing the surgery, obviously, because this is an otolaryngology issue. They called my orthopedic surgeon in, though, that specializes in OI, because when I have like a surgery related to my OI, bone related surgery, like my orthopedic does all my surgeries, and she specializes in osteogenesis imperfecta. So I never before they sedate me, I never really give a spiel about it, and never really tell the people what not to do, because she already knows. But this time, before I was sedated, I was like, hey, and my surgeon that did the surgery, my otolaryngologist that did the surgery, is very familiar with OI, but she wasn't the one positioning me and physically moving me onto the operating table after I was sedated. So I let everybody in the room know. I was like, hey, I know that Dr. So-and-so is really familiar with osteogenesis imperfecta, but I don't know if the rest of you are, but I just want to remind you guys that my bones are really fragile, and it's important to never grab or pull on my arms and legs and all this and that. And I told them the best way to lift without fracture. And so they're like, yep, that's great, thank you so much for telling us. And like I said, my surgeon is familiar with osteogenesis imperfecta, very much so, but she wasn't the one that was going to be maneuvering me and all that. She was the one doing the surgery. So that's what I had said basically to them before they sedated me. It was a lot more slower than hey guys, blah blah blah. I went into it a little bit, but once I was in the OR, but that was the gist of what I said. Once I was sedated, after I woke up, my surgeon had told me the reason they called my orthopedic surgeon in is because they were so nervous to maneuver me onto the operating table. Because I always go to sleep on the bed, because I do not like laying on the operating table while I'm awake. I don't know if it's PTSD. I don't really have PTSD. I don't know what it is. But anxiety, I don't know, but I just physically can't do it. So I'm always sedated on the hospital bed, and then they transfer me to the operating table. Anyways, so they were too nervous to transfer me onto the operating table and position me in a certain way that I had to be positioned in order for them to still be able to reach me to keep an eye on the ventilator. I I was intubated, of course, whatever you call that thing. And they were too nervous to, like, position me a certain way and make sure, because this was like a 3-hour surgery. 3 hours? Yeah, 3-hour surgery, almost 3.5. So, like, they were nervous of a certain way to do it, I don't know. And it was funny because I didn't know my orthopedic surgeon, and I don't know if they looked on my list of doctors. I didn't know if they just, like, looked around in the operating room area to see what other doctors were nearby that could help. I'm pretty sure that they looked on my list of doctors, if any of them were around that could help. And my orthopedic happened to be in the OR as well that day doing surgeries, and they called her after I was sedated and was like, hey, like, we're really nervous, like, we have Michaela Daybert here, and, like, we're really nervous to position her on the operating table, like, can you come help us out? And it was really funny because, like, my otolaryngologist and her had never met before, formally, I don't think, and my otolaryngologist is going to be helping out in the OI clinic this coming year, so that was the first time they had formally met, even though they're going to be working a lot more closely together. It was really funny. She was like, of course, like, you guys know, I love her, she's great. So I just thought that was, like, the most hilarious thing that, like, I don't know what they would have done if she wasn't there, because, like, she's the only one that's, like, super familiar with, as far as, like, bones go and, like, moving people with osteogenesis imperfecta. So they called her in to do that for them, so that was really cute. Everything went smoothly. For the IV, they got it in the first try, and that never happens. We had a safe drive there and back. I, again, had no cholesteatoma present. It was just, I had no side effects from the surgery. The overall recovery was not bad compared to my other surgeries. The second day was the worst, but I wasn't on any meds stronger than Tylenol. That it was, like, no narcotics or anything crazy like that. Like, it was just a pretty simple surgery compared to my other surgeries, which I was really nervous for because I never had my skull cut into before, so I was nervous for the pain. But the second day was the worst. That was really, really rough. But for some reason, after the second day, like, everything went uphill from there. So that was my recovery, and I went for my post-op appointment on Thursday, and I'm healing really well. I got the packing out, and I'm healing well. I have to wear, I don't know if you can see it. You can kind of see it. I have to wear a cotton ball in my ear, like, for a few more weeks, because I have to use these antibiotic drops for a few more weeks, Ciprodex or whatever. And there's, like, still drainage and stuff, so I had to make my ear canal wider. That's all normal and stuff. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw this, but they use, like, this, I have to wear, like, this ear muff thing on my one side of my ear where they did the surgery, because, like, a ton of blood, like, drains after the surgery. So I had to wear this ear muff thing after, only for a day, so I was glad to get that off. A little tip for those of you that have to have this kind of surgery. I won't know for another 6 weeks, but there's a potential that I will never be able to get my ear wet ever again. So I don't know why, like, I forgot to ask, like, the nature of it. I think it's just so that, because water isn't completely sterile, so that my other hearing bones don't get eaten away, I think. I don't know. But there's a potential that I will never be able to get my ear in the water ever again, so, like, no pool. And then when I'm in the shower, like, I have to put a cotton ball in with Vaseline and then, like, put that in there so no water gets in. But I won't know until 6 weeks from now, because there's something else that she has to check to, like, see. Because some people can get their ear wet after, and, like, some people can't, depending on how something heals. I don't remember. But I purchased a more natural product because you guys know I'm trying to use more natural products. And Vaseline is really, really bad. It has a lot of toxic chemicals. So I have a friend who works for Pure Haven Essentials, and she recommended me the Mom Balm or whatever. And it's basically, it's for babies, but it's completely, there's no essential oils in it, no fragrances. It's 100% non-toxic, all natural. If you need to put Vaseline in your ear with a cotton ball, I suggest the Mom Balm, because Vaseline does have a lot of toxic chemicals, and I'm trying to be better about what I'm using. So especially if that could be a long-term thing, I want to use something that's completely non-toxic. I'm great. I feel really good. I recovered super quickly compared to my other surgeries. My other surgeries are a lot more invasive than this one, believe it or not. That was my experience of having a tympanomastoidectomy. I'm really just over just how smoothly everything went that day. Getting there safely, IV going in the first time, like an awesome team, an awesome pre-op team, an awesome post-op team, an awesome OR team. The fact that My orthopedic surgeon was there to help. Like, just the way that, like, God presented everything, and we had a safe drive there and back, and I had no side effects. Like, I just could not believe, like, prayer after prayer was being answered that day, and just the grace and, like, protection that God gave us that day was just amazing, and I'll never forget that day. As weird as that sounds, but I've just never had a day go so smoothly. It was amazing. I guess that's it. If you guys have any other questions, leave them down in the description below, comments below, because like I said, I found no videos about a person's personal experience with a tympanomastoidectomy. But if you have osteogenesis imperfecta type 3 or a really complicated ear anatomy, and you have successfully had your hearing bones replaced, let me know down in the comments below. The odds of somebody replying to that is very slim, but I'm not afraid to get a fifth opinion. Like, not a fifth, but like, she's amazing, and I have full faith in her. Like 5-star reviews online, like literally, like, so I have full faith in her. I love her. She did an amazing job on the surgery, but you never know if there's something somebody else has experiencing that somebody else doesn't. So, but only if you have a super tricky ear anatomy. If you have a normal ear and you've had your ear bones replaced, that doesn't really help me. I'm talking like tricky ear anatomy. If you wouldn't mind leaving the name of the doctor in the comments or Instagram messaging me if you had it successfully done. I don't know, it's just something I might look into if it's something that somebody else has had successfully done. From the outcome, I doubt that's a possibility, but I thought I would ask you guys, and you never know. It feels really good to be back, and I'm excited to create more content for you guys. Definitely check out my last video. It's one of my favorite videos that I've ever uploaded on my channel. It will be on the end card of this video, and I'll catch you guys in my next one. Thank you guys so much for watching, all your love and support, and all your prayers through this time, and I made it through with flying colors and God's grace, and God is so good, and His grace is just amazing, and so glad I'm doing well and pretty much fully recovered. I feel really good. So, thank you guys. Bye.